Wait, you keep moving the goalposts. I thought it was just deep relationships and stay off of my phone. That's true, but how do you develop and maintain those meaningful relationships? Sharing a video of your lunch on Instagram is not going to cut it. Relationships and happiness require work, Hanan. And that work begins with working on yourself. Myself? Did you ever hear the joke about the waiter in the kosher restaurant who would go around from table to table asking the customers, is anything all right? So develop a sense of humor. That's part of it. But really what I'm saying is, you need to cheer up. Cheer up? Hold on. You're not trying to say that the first step to happiness is to be more happy. Yes, I am. Cheer up. My friend Dennis said that the bad mood is like bad breath. It's not fair to inflict it on other people. Well, tell your friend Dennis that cheering up is not as simple as brushing your teeth. You can't just choose your mood. Really? Have you ever been at home in the middle of a huge argument and then suddenly the phone rings and you answer, "Oh, hello, yes, how are you?" Yeah, but that's just acting, Daddy. Everybody does it. But when we act a certain way long enough, it often becomes a reality. I was once in a terrible mood and then I got an unexpected visit from my neighbor. I forced myself to act happy, and by the time they left an hour later, I was not as upset. Okay, but what about my friend who was fired from his job? You can't tell him to be happy. He lost his job. It's not as crazy as it sounds. Remember the joke with the waiter? Is anything all right? If you're obsessing on the things that aren't going well, the things you want that others supposedly have and you feel you deserve, all those things that Instagram feeds you, then you're unhappy. And people around you feel that, Hanan. But it's impossible to be complaining when you're focusing on the things in your life that are going well. Your friend is out of work, but he may be healthy. Another person might be going through a divorce, but has a good job. It's all about perspective. So you're saying focus on the positive. Yes, but it's more than that, Hanan. It's about the power of choice. There are so many things in our lives that we have no control over, Hanan. Like, for example, the circumstances into which we are born. But there are so many more things that we can control. Recognizing that we have the choice to not allow ourselves to suffer, even when things aren't going our way, can be a great source of strength, Hanan. You might feel disappointed and sad, but you can choose how long you dwell in it. As my friend Victor liked to say, you can't always choose your situation, but you can choose how you respond. When you choose to focus on what is good in your life, you feel full, you feel rich, and that's what you project. Remember, no one wants to be around someone who's complaining all the time. A bad mood is like bad breath. Choose gratitude over misery. And keep my breath minty clean. Oh, and now it's time to work on your relationships with others. First step, get out of the house. And do what? Hopefully meet people. But it begins with simply getting out of the house. It will help improve your mood too. So for example, take a course in something that you're interested in person. You can learn something new and have the opportunity to build relationships. A course, go see a concert in person with other people. Join a book club in person. Join a travel club in person. Join a synagogue in person. Join a team sport in person. Aren't all team sports in person? You'd be surprised. My friend George has a son that plays video games on a team with other people. But each person sits alone at home. They communicate via chat. But that's just it, Daddy. Who has the energy after a long day at work to get out of the house? Staying at home is simply much more comfortable. Of course it's more comfortable. Much more comfortable. But that's where lobsters have a lot to teach us. Did you say lobsters? Yes, lobsters. I heard about it from my friend Rabbi Twerski. Apparently, lobsters start out tiny, 1 inch long. And as they grow, their tiny shell begins to feel very uncomfortable. So the lobster goes under a rock to protect itself and actually removes its tiny shell and grows a new, bigger shell. Then the lobster grows some more and feels uncomfortable again, goes under a rock and grows an even bigger shell. And that cycle repeats. Fascinating. Especially the fact that you heard a story about lobsters from a rabbi. And how is this relevant? Well, if lobsters were humans, the minute they would feel any discomfort, they would just eat a cheesecake, go on Insta pleasure, or go to a doctor who would prescribe them painkillers. Anything to take away their discomfort. But then, they would stay 1 inch long for the rest of their lives. Developing yourself is uncomfortable, Hanan, because it's new. But if you don't take risks and push yourself out of your comfort zone, then how can you grow? Okay, so get out of the house, join a club in person. And this next part is very important. Choose carefully who you spend your time with. You emulate the people around you, Hanan. And if you surround yourself with people that sit at home and play video games, you will most likely end up sitting at home playing video games. Bidyuk. As a wise person said, pick a spouse who's better than you, and then hope they don't realize it too quickly. So that's it? Are you kidding? That was only the prep work. Now comes the relationship itself. A relationship that leads to self-fulfillment and happiness is a relationship in which you are growing and developing yourself by helping another person become their best self. That sounds completely counterintuitive, Daddy. Wouldn't it be more efficient to develop myself on my own? But there's a limit to what you can accomplish on your own, Hanan. Okay, but if I'm investing in others, what's left for me? Well, that's a paradox. That's a big secret. You grow more yourself by investing in others. I don't understand. Do you remember Doda Sarah? Of course I remember Aunt Sarah. What you probably don't remember is that for much of her life she was very sick. Avner, Eliyahu, Rafik, they all warned me, visit soon, she's in bad shape. This went on for years. And then her first grandchild was born, Yotam. How Sarah loved that boy. She picked Yotam up from school. She went with him to the playground. She taught him songs. And suddenly, hop, all of her illnesses went away. Psh. No one could explain it. Over time, all of the relatives that warned of Sarah's death died themselves. Sarah outlived them all, full of life, full of joy and happiness. So now I need to wait until I have a grandchild to be happy? It doesn't have to be a grandchild. Something awakened in Sarah. She opened herself up to a new relationship. And you can do it too, Hanan. But it requires an investment in another person. Happiness. And this is a key, so please try and hear it. Happiness exists in the space between you and another person. It's about the interaction. But these days we are conditioned to focus on ourselves instead of others. We want quick fixes and instant gratification, and social media capitalizes on this. People are more unfulfilled and lonely than ever. They are searching for connection, meaning and purpose. But instead of investing in deep relationships, they sit alone, online, and alienated. And then someone comes along and tells them that all of their problems are someone else's fault. That allows them to feel better about themselves without taking responsibility, without doing the work, without changing, without having to feel uncomfortable. It happened in 1938 in Germany, and it's unfortunately happening again today on a much larger scale. It is not good for people to be alone, Hanan. It's in the Bible. Dr. Waldinger and the Surgeon General rediscovered it, and now you know it too. There is a solution to the loneliness, but it is not a quick fix. You see, Hanan, that's the funny thing about happiness. If you go searching for it, you will never find it. It will constantly elude you. But go out and volunteer in a hospital and spend time focusing on helping sick children, and suddenly, there it is. Happiness.